Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Unreal Results podcast. Today is another recording of a Facebook Live I did with one of the LTAP Level 1 alumni, Kacie Shively. Kacie is a physical therapist that works in the sports ortho world, mainly with athletes from all levels, from high school to the pros. And she shares with me just the amazing results she's getting in her practice since coming to a recent in-person LTAP Level 1 course. So it was super fun to talk to her, and she shares how important just having an assessment tool like this is to get results fast and be like most efficient and effective with her work. So give it a listen. Thanks for joining us. Good morning. Thanks for everyone watching these lives. I hope you're enjoying them. I really enjoy it. Especially as I teach more and more people. Obviously I don't know everybody really well, and it's hard to keep in touch with everybody. And so this is just such a fun way to like touch base and see how people are using the LTAP, and even just talking to people about like why they even originally came to the course and like what problems they were seeking to have. So I hope everyone is enjoying this. I know I've gotten some feedback from other people since I put this on the podcast too, is like it's just helpful for people to hear how other clinicians, practitioners are using it in their practice. So this morning we have Kacie. Kacie is a PT up in the Washington, like Tri-Cities area, and she just actually took my live course, or not live, they're all live, the in-person course in Tacoma, Washington in February, which feels like eons ago, even though it was only a couple months ago.
Yep.
So thank you. I'll let you do a little bit more thorough introduction of yourself, and like it's always good for people to hear sort of like what patient population you work with and like what kind of setting too. So
Yeah, great. So I'm Kacie Shively. I own Game Changer Physical Therapy, and I'm located in Kennewick, Tri-Cities area of Washington State. I primarily see athletes at my clinic. So I'm working with anyone from high school, middle school athletes to triathletes and professional athletes. So it's quite the span. And
yeah.
it's just me at my practice. I'm the one that does all the scheduling, the patient care, and everything. So efficiency is like the key to
Yes.
everything running smoothly. And so, yeah, I love what I do. I got into starting my own practice because I was just kind of sick of the traditional model of physical therapy, if you will, where it's just run them through, get as many people in as you can, and people are coming in multiple times a week. So it just didn't really jive with how I do things. And,
Yeah.
that's how I found. I just kind of went with courses that really aligned with kind of my goals. And I feel like a lot of what you teach, Anna, is very, very much that way. It's efficiency, it's effectiveness, and you work with athletes too. So that's what really drew me to your courses. Was I was like, okay, she gets it.
Yeah.
She knows exactly what I'm trying to go for. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think any patient though appreciates having an effective and efficient
For
treatment.
sure. I'm like, I know our patients end up like loving us, and like,
Yes.
it's most of us are doing
Mhm.
it because we like care about people, and like usually when you care about people, you really value relationships over
Mhm.
most other things. And so, yes, our people like us and like spending time with us and hopefully enjoy their rehab experience, but nobody wants to be stuck in
Yeah.
rehab. Nobody wants to be injured. Like
Yeah. You don't
nobody.
want to be there because you have to.
Right. Like even like I mean even like my athletes are good examples. Like they don't love working out always, and they don't love taking care of their bodies. They do it because it's like a means to the end of like them being good performers, but
Yes.
not because it's like fun by any means. Like it can be fun, but like it's, I'm always like, this is a question when people ask me about like home exercise program. I'm like, I mean, this is the great thing. You're gonna fix them in the sessions. You don't have to give them a home exercise program because newsflash,
Yeah.
nobody likes a home exercise
Yeah.
program.
That's
And
the truth across the board.
yeah, across the board, doesn't matter. Nobody likes homework.
Yep.
Like I am biased. I've never been a homework kind of person, but
Mhm.
I'm like, yeah, nobody wants homework, and this is why they're coming to you. Is like they need your help to feel better. If they could do
Mhm.
it on their own, they would already have it done. So,
Right.
I'm like kind of live by the rule of like maybe three things for homework, and they all have to like create a change, and
Mhm.
um the only other rule would be if the person is not an active mover or exerciser, then yes, it is appropriate to help them out to create that habit and create an
Yes.
exercise plan. So,
Or if they, are like, "Oh, I never ever do strengthening." And then you're
yeah,
like, "Well,
exactly.
maybe that would be helpful."
Yeah,
Uh,
the classic
but
runner, like I just
yeah,
run. I don't exactly. Yes,
maybe one or two
100%.
exercises.
And then I'm like, do you even still call it a home
I
exercise
know.
program? Because I'm like, no, you call it a strength training program. Like,
Exactly. Or an
exactly.
activation routine. It's like it is exactly that. I feel like
Yeah.
the one thing I've given people for homework is really more like the neural resets. You
Hmm.
want something and then they can feel that change. And I feel
Yes.
that's been really helpful for
Yeah.
people. And it's like, when you need it.
Yeah. Do it as many times as you want, but you'll know when you need it. I
Hmm.
love that. Um, well, it's very so I we were talking before I started the live, and it's very unique because you did not do the free missing link first. You just jumped right into an in-person class. Um, per the referral of a colleague of ours, but also like you said, you saw what I was offering and was like, that's like what I've been looking for. So, was that kind of like the problem that you were having, that you were hoping to solve too, is the efficiency piece, like getting people fast results faster?
I would say it's I mean, your messaging really spoke to me. It's like when you know that there's something going on
Yeah.
and you're able to address it most of the way, but you're not able to get every little piece.
Yeah.
And so I feel like just knowing that, hey, there's something else out there, whether it's visceral or nervous system tension, there's a lot going on. And there's just a better, more effective way to assess that rather
Mhm.
than just being like, well, it's not getting better with all the orthopedic things we're doing.
Yeah.
By process of elimination, it's this. And
Yeah.
instead, it was like, oh, if you can address that first, then all of your treatments are going to be more effective and they're
Mhm.
going to do what you actually want them to do if
Yes.
you need them at all.
Right. I love that.
So that for me was just a huge selling point.
Hmm.
And I guess the biggest like pain point that I had was just when you know there's something going on and you're not exactly sure how to assess it.
Yeah. Yeah. You're like, I know I'm missing something, but like
That
can't pinpoint.
exactly.
I love that. And so now, we're 2.5 months, 2 months from the course. Like, what kind of results have you been seeing with it?
It has been incredible, honestly. I've been getting more confident with all my assessments too, which I feel like makes the treatment more
Yes,
effective.
absolutely.
But I've been getting really good results. And like you said, I mean, it's been 2 months, but it's felt like I've done this forever now.
Great.
And I'm getting faster. So I have had some pretty good patient results, honestly.
Mhm.
I've had 3 that I can think of just right off the top of my bat of, like, success stories where we've really changed their course of treatment and how they're viewing their rehab.
Yeah.
Um,
Were these patients that you were seeing before the course too? So you were able to,
yes,
yeah.
yeah, actually, I had 2 of them, I had, like, their assessment done right before the course, and I was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take this course this weekend, which I think is gonna change everything." And it did. And I had one guy that he was getting mostly better. He'd had kind of what he thought was like a classic case of a bicep strain.
Mhm.
And, it was getting better. We thought, okay, I went down the route of thoracic outlet syndrome. We treated that and he was like 90%. And then going into this course, I'm like, okay, I'm going to figure out exactly what it is. So when I came back, we, went through the LTAP and I went into his left lung. Now he had his shirt on, so I didn't see anything. And I was,
Yeah.
how's your left lung? Just thinking, maybe he'll give me a history. And he's like, oh yeah, I forgot that it collapsed like 3 times on me when I was in middle school. This guy's like in his 40s. And I was like, oh my gosh, that would have been so good to include in humanity.
Yeah.
So anyway, just working on that area, you, dynamic cupping
Yeah.
is what I chose, and he didn't have to come back.
That's
So
amazing.
we're like, well, I guess
Yeah.
that was great.
That was it. That was great. Was it his same side upper trachea or opposite?
Same side,
Same side.
same side. Yeah.
I love
So
how
he's
people are like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell you I had
yeah,
to
those
come.
chest tubes getting
Yeah,
light.
no big deal.
Yeah. And so, that one is a really big success for me and a big turning point. I was like,
Absolutely.
and then I had another professional athlete. He's a baseball player. He came to me and he kind of was like, I've got this, 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 and this wrong. I'm like, and he's like, and I got a report for spring training here in the next month or so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
So yeah, yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. And so I was like, hey, we'll give it a shot. And I feel like that's also like a case of, where I've been applying it too, is people that just have multiple things going on. And you're like, what do we want to start with?
Yeah.
The LTAP is perfect for that. So for him, I, treated multiple areas, nervous system tension, and he was able to get his velocity back. He was able to throw without his shoulder just killing him, and
Yeah.
able to report for spring training. So that was a huge success.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love too that you have like a performance measure with him too, right? Like it's not just like he didn't have pain. It like he went from feeling like his arm was dead to
Well, and his velocity was way down. He
yeah.
was focusing on the numbers and everything like that, and the metrics. And I was like, hey, just don't look at the numbers. Just do me a favor. Just
Yeah.
trust me on this. We're gonna do some things here and get it back. And it did work.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, I love that. This
Yeah,
is
I
so
know.
fun. I'm excited, like obviously some of the people I've talked to have, it's been like a year or so since I've been through the course, but it's like so cool to hear like, yeah, immediate results. Like, I mean, and that's like the whole point of both courses, but obviously in the in-person course, it's like, yeah, 2 days and like you literally go from maybe not even knowing it, right? Maybe watching the 4 hours of tutorials and then the weekend we just like the
That's exactly right.
yeah, Saturday I tell you guys all Saturday morning and I'm like, you're really excited and you're so pumped and then by the end of the day you're gonna think you don't know anything because we're gonna
It's so
spend
true. It's
we're
so
gonna spend the whole Saturday just learning the assessment and getting the reps and like getting really clear on the all the tests.
yes.
And then Sunday we put it all together and you like treated somebody in the class like you would on Monday.
And I feel like that was, like one of the things and kind of reflecting on the course was just how lovely it's put together.
Yeah.
Truly, there's not many courses out there where you can learn stuff ahead of time so you're not going in with like, what in the world is this?
Yeah.
You learn what you're going to do and then you learn how to apply it and you're getting that real-time feedback. That's why I felt like the in-person course. I was like, I have to capitalize on this opportunity because I want to know where to put my hands, how much
Mhm.
pressure to use. And that tactile feedback for me was crucial.
Yeah.
So that was great though. It's like you learn the stuff ahead of time, you go there, get more feedback, you're like, I know nothing. And then you put it together and it is like I think just learning to trust yourself too is one of the things you had said in the course over and over again. Just quit thinking and just
Yeah.
feel, trust
Yeah.
yourself. And when you do that, you're able to take a more objective approach. And again, the inefficiency is where you're sitting there thinking and
Yeah.
processing.
Oh my gosh. So
But
inefficient.
but
Yeah.
on Monday morning, I was seriously able to apply it. I mean, I thought that was so cool
Yeah.
because a lot of courses you just don't have that. You
Yeah.
don't have the
And
ability
a
to.
lot of courses claim they have that. They're like
Yeah.
Monday morning applicability. And then you're like Monday
Oh,
morning, like, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing.
exactly. You're like, there's not a chance.
Yeah. Like, but no, this is like for real. Like you don't leave Sunday until I know you got it.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think like another thing about it too is like you're not making people like super sore with this treatment. It's a very like it's a nice session. Like you
Yeah.
leave feeling good.
Yeah.
And in the in-person course, you ran us through a few of the regen exercises, which like, you get to experience yourself and that was like, okay, I can do
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, like, oh, we didn't really do anything crazy, but I feel like so different after that session.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is exactly how the patients feel is like, yeah, it doesn't have to hurt them. It doesn't have to be complicated. And they can come in not feeling great and then leave feeling much better.
And
And
is yeah, it's such a game changer, this course, like, is for everyone. And I feel like every clinician should take it because
yeah,
I mean, honestly, taking just a more holistic approach and just whole body, I should say, like whole body approach to
yeah,
why does this person have pain? It makes sense, or
yeah,
whatever their symptoms are.
yeah. I love that. Um, Yeah, I love that you felt that. And it's interesting too, because actually we were talking yesterday, Katrina and I, another alumni, about how I did design the course. And it's a little bit combination of like, I took a course very early in my career, like my first ever Con Ed course. And this is really similar to how he taught. And I didn't even realize it until reflecting on it now. And I'm like, wow, I ended up like designing a course very similar to that. And so I love hearing that it has made such an impact on you all, like immediately being able to implement it in practice. But it's also like the emphasis, and I know I did get this from him, is the emphasis of like the only way you get good at it and make it part of your practice is literally if you practice it. And so it's like hammering to you all that is like, you need the reps in your hand. So it doesn't matter if you're going to let it guide your treatment at first. It doesn't matter if the patient comes in with ankle, foot, knee, back, neck, like whatever it is, like you're doing the same assessment on every single patient that walks in the door
Mhm.
just to get the reps of the assessment.
Yeah.
And some people are like, "Oh, but isn't that like not a lot of people, but every once in a while somebody's like, I just don't like how that feels like using my patient as a guinea pig." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Your patients are a guinea pig all the time, whether you realize it or not."
Yeah.
Like,
What do you do the first like year you were in practice?
exactly.
Well,
So it's
like,
like you might as well make it like very like
mhm.
intentional and thoughtful of what you're actually trying to do, which is get the practice versus like just
It
fucking
doesn't it doesn't
fumbling
take
around.
that long. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like this is a you know, you can go through it that 1 to 3 times, but if you went through it one time with every single patient and just say, "Hey, we're just gonna, like, get the most effective treatment. We're gonna see what comes up first," and just, you know, that would give you the reps. I mean, if you think about it, you're seeing so many patients a week or a month, and just, I mean, even every other patient starting with
Mhm.
one round of the LTAP, I
Yeah.
think would be really huge.
Yeah. And I think too, one of the things that helps that, and you kind of touched on it about talking about how in the course we talk about like trusting what you feel. Part of the trusting what you feel is well, trusting what you feel, but then also it is like critically thinking through if something doesn't go the way you think it should,
Yeah.
and like what that means, because what we find in the classes is
That's
like the instant default for most practitioners when something doesn't go the way it should, their instant default is to be like, oh, I'm so fucking dumb, like
Yep.
I don't understand this, I can't do this, like this
The
isn't
pan.
possible, right? Like throw the hands up in the air like this is dumb. And so that's what happens often in other courses is you go back to practice it on your patients and you run into a scenario where you don't like it didn't go the way you thought it should, and instead of critically thinking through it, you're like, I'm an idiot, I'm not going to do this anymore because it's making me look bad to my patient. And so then you like, even if you set out to do the assessment on every single patient that day, if the second one you run into a roadblock like that, you won't do it the rest of the day. And
Mhm.
so in the course we talk through those roadblocks, and we approach it of like, don't be so hard on yourself,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it didn't go the way you thought because there could be reasons for that. And what are the reasons for it? Like, yeah, one of the reasons could be you didn't take the time to set it up to be successful. Number one. But then number two, there's like actual reasons in their body why it might be
Mhm.
not be giving you the information you need. And it doesn't mean that you did it wrong. It means it's not the right test to get you the information you're trying to seek. And so it's like
Right.
that critical thinking piece. I mean,
Mhm.
since I was a kid, right? Like critical thinking was like a something that I don't know how the schools do it nowadays, but like I feel like when I was in grade school and high school and college, critical thinking was a really important piece of every class.
It
I
is.
think, but it was also a hard piece for people because critical thinking takes a little bit of common sense and not relying on like, just tell me what to do.
Right. And I think, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you probably get a lot of clinicians that go through your courses. They really care about what they do. They wouldn't be
Yes.
like, I want to get the most effective treatment if they didn't care. They'd just be like,
Exactly.
ah, whatever. It's my nine to
Yeah.
five.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I just think that it's so helpful to set the perfectionism aside and learn to trust and when to analyze, right? Because it's not
Yeah.
like you just go through like, oh, I don't even pay attention to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's writing it down, it's going step by step, following the process. And I mean, you lay it out perfectly. I mean, there's
Yeah.
we go through and we do like that chart where we
Yeah.
make a web and it just like you
Yeah.
talk through every
Yeah.
step.
That's the critical thinking piece.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
that is, like you said, like to not over, we choose to overanalyze the wrong thing.
mhm,
Like critical thinking is analyzing. It's analyzing like how what could have gone wrong.
mhm.
Not I was wrong
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
not their body was wrong. It's like, no, what could have gone wrong in this assessment because I didn't get the information I was hoping to get out of it.
Mhm. And like taking the time to make sure you ask people scoliosis because there's a lot of them that you're like that never even put it because they're like, oh, I didn't even think about it. But
Yeah.
then, you know, when I go to get them laying down, I'm like, okay, they look kind of
Yeah.
uncomfortable.
You look uncomfortable. Yeah.
Well, and I'm like, let's just try this out, and it makes a big difference. So I mean, that's something that would again skew results if you didn't address it.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
that, and a little bit of that is paying attention to the person
mhm,
on the table. So
right
often,
being up.
exactly. I'm like, when you're thinking too much, you're not paying attention to anything. You're in your own body.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, your eyes are open and yeah, your hands are on somebody, but you're not with them. And
Yeah.
so it's like, if you're not with them and paying attention to them, you miss those subtle cues that something's off. Like, so many people come to the course, the in-person course, and when we go over that scoliosis bit, they're like, I had no idea I had scoliosis. And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Have you always been uncomfortable when you lay flat? And they're like, yes, I hate laying flat. I'm like,
I
okay,
actually
well,
hate massage therapy. I'm like, well, you shouldn't hate massage. That's a
yeah, exactly. So it's so interesting, but I love that. I mean, I love that you picked that all up. Like again, like you picked that up in a 2-day course. How cool.
it's I know. I mean, it's kind of funny because I feel like I even like the first few times I did the LTAP with patients, like they had an immediate reduction in like their pain. And it was like shoulder pain and I was working on their like, you know, post like
Yeah,
posterior
toenail.
fossa. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
and they're like we look at each other like,
Like,
"What?"
did that just happen?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
exactly.
saw that,
We're both
right?
like,
Yeah,
"Well, that was cool."
yeah.
And
I
so
love that.
they're like, I don't know what you're doing, but this is working."
Yeah. Well, and there's two. I remember as you were saying that, I'm like, okay, so there's two things I want to say. One is going back to like how the course was like is created. I think the interesting thing is the other reason why the in-person course is so good is because I've taught it online so much, and online teaching as a teacher makes you really highlights that you can't fire hose people with information.
Yeah.
They can only do like retain and like really like understand like one thing at a time. And so even this missing link week that I taught, like this is the eighth time I've taught it, and the last probably 4 times I've taken stuff out every time I've teached.
Yep.
And what happened, like sometimes you're like, oh, I don't want to take it out because people won't feel like they're getting as much out of the class. But it's actually opposite. When you take more information out, people get more out of it
Mhm.
because then it becomes understandable and not overwhelming and very practical and applicable.
Yes.
And so I think as I've witnessed people in online learning, it's made the in-person learning better because I also realize that we all have a certain capacity of what we can retain and learn. And so like that's why we need to not do
Yeah.
so much, right?
Yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, we still cover a lot in those 2 days, but
I
it's
would say
like,
there's still a lot of, like there's still a lot of detail. So it's not like you're just saying, just trust me on this.
Yes.
It's,
No. Mm-mm.
there is a lot of information and you can take what you want. But I think there's a really good balance of giving the information and then the practical application of that information. How does
Yeah.
it help you in your practice? How does this help your patients?
Yes.
How will this change the way that you approach treatment sessions?
Hmm.
And, I feel like some people are really caught up in the time aspect. And yeah, I guess if you're treating like 5, 10 patients at one time, that can be a little challenging to start with.
Right.
But it is, I think it's so worth it, and you'll get faster, you'll get more confident,
Oh,
you'll be able to
100%.
trust. Again, it's repetition. It's
Yeah.
most people aren't good at anything the first time they do it,
No.
but
No.
yeah.
I'm like, I always think too, I'm like, man, if I had 5 people at a time, like having just the first test, just the SI joint test to
Mhm.
direct me would be like, I mean, that's going to make such a difference already.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, and that
So,
would be way more effective than like, I mean, yeah, trying to balance 5 different patient treatments and, guess at what the main cause is. If you can just narrow it down and focus their treatment, you're gonna get so much more out of it
how much more?
for your time and theirs. Everyone's
Mhm.
time is precious, and I feel
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that's something to respect for sure.
100%. So the other thing I wanted to say too, and you kind of, you've been talking about it, is just like the emphasis on like it works with anybody's practice, like anybody's tool set. You don't need to know visceral manipulation or neural manipulation or whatever to like make it work. So just to kind of go, because I don't even know that if I know fully, like what tool set are you working with? Like, what is your go-to like treatments? Do you know any of those specialized treatments? Or are you just coming from a more um traditional sports ortho type of approach?
Yeah, so I think that was like the craziest thing for me, like just realizing and taking the course. And I don't even know, I feel like maybe it actually hit me like day, like end of day 1 or day 2. I was like, wait a second, this is just like learning to apply what you already know. It's not, and you say that the whole time. It's like, this
Yeah.
is assessment. I'm like, but wait. And it is taking exactly what you already know. So I do a lot of cupping, I do a lot of scraping. So, like some general ortho stuff. I have my endorsement in dry needling. So I use that a lot as well. I don't have a visceral manipulation background. And so, I don't venture too much into that side of things, but
Yeah.
it's using like the everyday essentials. And then you can, and I feel like that's a great foundation for it. You can take additional coursework in some of these.
Hmm.
I have a little bit of work on nervous system, neural
Hmm.
resets, that kind of thing, but just learning to apply everything that I've used
Yeah.
every single day um, to get the effective treatment. It's not that the treatment is really, I guess the change for me was, it's not just the treatment, it's applying it in the right place at the right time to get them better.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and exactly like I've been saying the whole time.
So you don't do this, like, you don't have to have all this extensive knowledge and
No.
visceral manipulation and things like that. And if you do have a concern, having your network of people too, that you can
Yes.
refer to, I think is
Mhm.
huge.
So
And
huge.
having the confidence to be able to do that
Mm.
is important.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. That's really cool. It kind of what you said too of like, oh, exactly what you said. Yeah, it's kind of like too when we tell our patients like all the things and then they like don't hear it and then they finally experience it and they're like, "Oh, you know what I think is causing this?"
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, really?
Oh,
Why didn't I think of that?"
yeah. I don't know who could have come up with that one.
Yeah, but it is, I mean, it just goes to show you that, like, and
Hmm.
that's the whole premise of like the courses, right? Is like we have a hypothesis and don't believe me. I want you to prove it. I want
Yeah.
you to see it. I want you to feel it. I want
Hmm.
you to then have the light bulb moment, not me turning the light bulb on for you.
Yeah.
Because I know that that's the only way you're going to change your practice is when you see it and feel it for yourself.
Yeah. And I mean, I think one of the great things about, and I'm sure the online course is the same way, but having the resources to go back and look at and go back and rewatch. some of the materials is really helpful because you like go
Mhm.
through it, you get experience. Like, I don't know about other people, but sometimes I'm like, I wish I could just redo PT school. Knowing what
Yeah.
I know now, I would
Yeah.
read so
With a
much.
totally different lens. It would be a totally different experience.
And so I feel like that's the same even with the information that you teach, having the access to the online modules and even the Voxer access that you allow is really, really helpful
Yeah.
because it's like then you can get feedback on your treatment and you
Mhm.
can everything sticks a little bit more each time you hear it. And I think that's going to be a really helpful resource for me, when I think about moving forward and applying it and refining and honing in my skills.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, that's true too, because I'm like, I mean, how many other courses like offer you connection with the teacher outside of the course?
They
Like
don't.
they no. I was like, yeah, they don't. Yeah, they don't.
And it is really helpful. And I think that also incentivizes you to like actually apply it. You've got a couple weeks of like access to you for questions. So it's like you better be applying that the next day
Yeah,
so that you
yeah,
your questions. So I feel like that is a really well done component too. And
yeah. I appreciate that.
even more fuel to the like, you got to take this in-person course. And the online course is going to be great.
Yeah,
I just kind of jumped in because I was like, this is in
yeah. It
Tacoma.
was in your area, so
Yeah, I was
I
like,
mean, as close as we can get.
well, when I look at all the other options, I'm like, okay, I could fly across the country, which would be fun.
Yes,
But if I
or I
can't
could
go,
just drive.
exactly. And I'm like, if I miss out on this course, I'm going to be missing out. I'm going to regret it. And I
Yeah,
think people don't know what they're missing. So I'm super thankful to, our colleague that kind of shared some of your stuff on Instagram and led me that direction because I'm
yeah,
like, everything resonates. That's
yeah,
exactly what I want. And I
yeah,
feel like personality wise, it's great too because you just get it. You're a real person. You're not just like
yeah.
up in the clouds, like, oh, yeah, yeah, this works.
Yeah,
You're
and I'm not just a teacher. Like I'm actually practicing, and like,
practicing, you're working with professional athletes, uh,
yeah,
and the pressure's on. So
yeah,
getting treatments that do what they're supposed to do when they're supposed to do it is crucial.
yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's like a mic drop. I
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Well, this has been
I know.
fun. It's been so good to talk to you. I really appreciate you. I mean, you kind of already said it, but I always ask people at the end, like, if, if you were to like tell somebody that was on the fence, like what your recommendation would be, and without being like, Anna's the best, the course is the best, like, what would you
I
say to them?
I would say that I wish I would have taken this class. I don't know when it came about, but I wish I would have taken it years ago
Yeah.
because it just could help so many of my patients. And again, I worked in other settings. I worked in traditional outpatient orthopedics. I worked with a neuro population. And I just am like, man, I wish I had this years ago so I could have
Yeah.
helped even more patients. But I guess I'm just so thankful moving forward that I have the ability to do it and the ability to grow. And I wouldn't have it without the course.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I love that. Hmm.
yeah,
Thank you. I love that. Well,
you're welcome.
I can't
Everyone,
wait to see what you continue to do with it and how you continue to grow, and it'll be fun.
I'm crossing my fingers for like an LTAP level 2 coming up.
Yeah, maybe in the fall, but
Hmm.
definitely in 2026.
Yep, I'm excited for that.
Alrighty, my dear. I'll let you go. I know you got a busy day today, so I appreciate you making the time, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, see you soon. Thank you.